Latakia city right now. Tell us, what is the situation on ground at Gravitas? We don't just tell you stories from selected countries from around the world.
2 years since the Myanmar military coup, the people of Myanmar continue to live in a nightmare.
Because it does not suit their propaganda, or because they are too scared to speak truth to power.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yo1.com.
Stay connected with the world through WION. Like the page on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter for new alerts. Instagram for videos and images. And the website for the latest news, views, and analysis. WIONews.com. World is one.
Gravitas tells you stories which others won't. And tonight we will tell you about this new strategic map that is being drawn.
They say your enemy's enemy is your friend. Is that the foundation of the new defense bridge between India and America?
This is what separates us from others who claim to be telling you global stories that matter. In the last 3 days, WION has been traveling across Syria. You are in Latakia city right now. Tell us, what is the situation on ground at Gravitas? We don't just tell you stories from selected countries from around the world.
2 years since the Myanmar military coup, the people of Myanmar continue to live in a nightmare.
Because it does not suit their propaganda, or because they are too scared to speak truth to power.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture,
Hello and welcome to WION World is One, broadcasting live from London this hour. You're with me, Katie Pilbeam. Let's get to the headlines. High drama in Pakistan. Imran Khan appears before Islamabad High Court amid tight security. His supporters clash with the police in the city. All eyes on whether he will be allowed to go home today. COVID-era rules that prevented hundreds of thousands of people from claiming asylum at the southern US border expires, creating uncertainty for migrants, setting off a political firestorm. Ukraine says its forces have recaptured chunks of territory around the embattled city of Bakhmut in the eastern Donetsk region, which had been captured by the Russian troops. Ahead of Sunday elections, political parties make a final push to galvanise support and woo undecided voters. Election campaign songs take centre stage.
Novak is still very fit in terms of capturing those Grand Slam titles, which is, it's still impressive, I won't lie.
World tennis number 5, Stefanos Tsitsipas, believes 22-time Grand Slam champion and his nemesis, Novak Djokovic, is still the man to beat ahead of the French Open. A warm welcome. Our first story today, we start in the UK with the cost of living crisis. It's not showing any signs of improving just yet. Households are experiencing a major squeeze in their monthly budgets. And now UK lawmakers have launched an investigation into the neutrality of the country's food supply chain. Well, a cross-party committee of the House of Commons says that it will examine how profits and risks are shared on every level, and the level of regulation implied on it. The Environment, Food and Rural Affairs will also examine the impact of external factors on the supply chain, like imported food and global commodity prices. The move comes after the opposition party Labour called the government to investigate supermarket profits. Well, supermarket groups have repeatedly denied that they are profiting from the crisis, while adding that they've also taken a hit on profits and operating margins themselves. Well, according to official data, UK food prices are 19.1% higher, while the grocery inflation is at 17.3%. Meanwhile, the UK economy grew at 0.1% in the first quarter. The official data comes one day after the Bank of England forecasts that the UK economy will avoid recession despite the annual inflation of above 10%. Well, earlier, the Bank of England increased the key interest rate to 4.5%. It was the central bank's 12th increase in a row. Well, this puts the rate at the highest level since the global financial crisis in 2008. Well, for more on this, delighted to be joined now by Sarah Coles, Head of Personal Finance at Hargreaves Lansdown, joining us live from Bristol. Good to see you again, Sarah. Just want to ascertain, is it fair to say that the supermarkets are making profit while most people are struggling, or is it true to say that their margins are also being squeezed?
Well, definitely their margins are being squeezed. They're still making profits, but they're making fewer profits. And when Tesco was put under pressure about this, it did highlight that although it's making sort of a profit margin of around 4%, if you look at the big food producers, so, you know, the things that make the big brands that we know, they're making sort of profit margins closer to 16%. So the supermarkets are keen to sort of say, yes, we're making some profits, but we're not making the most profits in this system. I think one of the things that the bank said yesterday, the Bank of England, was it made quite clear that it doesn't think that supermarkets are profiteering. And the Treasury also has sort of said it doesn't believe that this is the fundamental issue, but it does want supermarkets to do more because, you know, as you say, prices are really rising. So the idea of this committee is to look where the profits are being made, where the risks are being taken. One of the issues you mentioned is legislation. So this is something that the supermarkets brought up with the Treasury and said, well, you know, life would be much easier if we didn't have to meet sort of legislative demands on things like packaging, on things like sort of, you know, whether the markets will have to work. And so they're going to look into all different aspects of it to see whether they can slice some extra cost out of the process. And it's a really important part of the issue because obviously the bank was saying one of the reasons why it's put up interest rates is because food inflation has actually been higher than it had been expecting.
Yeah, it's a really sticky situation because, as we know, inflation is very stubborn. And now that food prices have gone up so much, so say, for example, when you're going to buy a sandwich and that price has gone up quite noticeably, even if, for example, Russia left Ukraine tomorrow and the war was over, that price of that sandwich is not going to come down, is it?
That's one of the issues with food inflation. So it takes a long time for changes in wholesale prices to sort of filter through. We've actually seen some of these wholesale prices really come down. Some of it happens incredibly quickly. So it is worth saying, so things like milk, for example, what happened with milk is that we stopped buying so much of it because it's gone up by about 40% to 70p a pint. So we stopped buying so much of it. And then there was a glut. There was a short-term glut. So the supermarkets have been able to bring down the prices overnight for this supermarket because there's obviously milk doesn't keep as well as other things do. But in more cases, because there are so many processes to get from the point where someone decides to produce something to it hitting the shelves, it can take about 3 months to 9 months to filter through. So it can be anything from, you know, choosing to plant particular crops or, you know, choosing to breed certain animals. And that process, it's not overnight. It doesn't immediately, you know, turn into bread. You've got this long growing process and then the harvesting, and then all those savings will start filtering through. I think it is worth saying that the supermarkets are fairly sure that we're around the peak of food inflation. It's not going to come down super fast, but it will come down through the year. So the supermarkets are saying that, you know, although it's taking some time to filter through, it will come. And if, you know, people can just hang on for a little bit longer, then your supermarket shop will get a bit cheaper.
Oh, that's really good to know, because I think that's where a lot of people are feeling it, aren't they, at the supermarket checkout. Thank you so much for your expertise. We appreciate that. Sarah Coles, the Head of Personal Finance at Hargreaves Lansdown. We move on to talk about the NHS now. So during the NHS strikes that we've mentioned, the one criticism which was common and the public was growing was the patient backlog. This is a huge problem. New official figures show that 10 NHS trusts are responsible for nearly half of the patients. Some of them have been waiting for 18 months to get their treatment started. Well, official figures also show that NHS England has missed one of its key targets for clearing the COVID backlog. It failed to eliminate wait times of more than 78 weeks, and 10 NHS trusts are responsible for 48% of those long-waited periods. Around 10,700 patients are waiting for more than 18 months to even begin their treatment. This is according to figures. The Manchester University NHS Foundation Trust has the highest number of waiters at 969. Well, the figures also reveal that patients waiting for hip and knee operations and those with general surgeries as well are waiting the longest for treatment. The percentage of cancer patients who saw a specialist within 2 weeks also fell to 83% from 86%. 8%. Well, Rishi Sunak says the government is working on reducing the numbers. Meanwhile, the Labour Party has slammed the Prime Minister, accusing him of breaking his promise to end this stubborn 78-week wait as thousands of patients remain in pain and discomfort. OK, now we're going to be talking about driverless buses in the UK. This could be coming soon, as it is set to roll out its first driverless bus network in Scotland as soon as next week. Well, the service aims to carry around 10,000 passengers a week for at least 22 kilometres. It will be the world's first automated local bus service. However, drivers will be on standby behind the wheel, ready to take control if there happens to be an emergency.
Yeah, we've done over 10 hours worth of training on public roads. We've also had track experience as well in a closed circuit.
Next week, we'll have a safety driver to monitor the technology, as UK law does not allow fully autonomous vehicles. Well, drivers are not allowed to touch the controls while the vehicle is in autonomous mode. The onboard system will also detect other road users to prevent collisions, while the cameras and radar systems scan the road for pedestrians. Very important. Well, the control system also includes an artificial intelligence engine. The AI receives information throughout the journey, and it also calculates the safest route to the destination.
System's designed to increase safety, so the driver has now got 360-degree vision, and the system can respond faster than a human can in terms of reaction time. And secondly, there's always going to be a safety driver in the seat even when the bus is driving itself, so that if there is a need for them to take control, they can take control.
Well, next we bring you a report on how governments around the world are racing to regulate artificial intelligence tools. From privacy concerns to ethical considerations, countries are trying to find the right balance between innovation and safeguarding the public interest. Well, let's delve into a few recent initiatives taken by national and international governments to address this challenge then. Well, our first stop takes us to the bustling streets of London. Britain is handing over the responsibility of controlling AI to its existing regulators, instead of creating a new organisation. Well, these regulators will be from the offices of human rights, health and safety, and competition. Well, speaking at a business conference in April, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said governments need sovereign capability over AI to manage risk to national security. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the United States is in the process of seeking input on regulations. The Federal Trade Commission wants to use existing laws to prevent problems caused by the artificial intelligence. It was only last month when Senator Michael Bennet introduced a bill to create a team that would study AI policies. The team will then find ways to reduce threats to privacy, civil liberties, and fair treatment. The Biden administration is also asking the public for ideas on how to make sure AI systems are accountable. President Joe Biden said tech companies should make sure their products are safe before making them public. On the other hand, we have China, which is known for its rapid technological advancements. The country has also put AI regulation at the forefront of its agenda. In April, China's cyberspace regulator unveiled draft measures to manage generative AI services. The government wants companies to submit security assessments to authorities before they launch offerings to the public. At the same time, Beijing also wants to support companies in building AI models that can compete with advanced systems like ChatGPT. Lastly, we head to the European Union. It's working on new rules to ensure AI is developed and used responsibly. The union has proposed a law called the AI Act. If passed, it would become the first global legislation on artificial intelligence. According to the reports, protecting copyright is an important part of the proposed AI Act. The European Parliament will vote on the draft in June.